Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're looking at the Ferengi Decora class. Uh, some might say that it's a marauder. Some might just say it's a trader ship. Either way, looking at the decipher book here for the mission of the ship itself, the Ferengi Decora class marauder is a common sight in the interstellar travelers plying the space lanes of the Alpha and Beta quadrants. Created for the purpose of fostering trade on behalf of the Ferengi Alliance, the ships serve as the fundamental instrument of Ferengi business policy. The design incorporates several operational objectives such as freighter, warship, and explorer. The Decor class is primarily a merchant vessel designed to haul large amounts of cargo across the galaxy. In order to protect their valuable cargoes, these vessels possess substantial tactical and defensive power. When business negotiations do not go their way, the Ferengi have been known to turn the Marauders' power to extreme uh, debate to get what they want, and when they have been known to engage in piracy to obtain goods or salvage. Finally, the Decora class also plays an important role in expanding the Ferengi's mercantile empire and possesses sufficient capabilities to engage in deep space exploration. So, it is nice being able to have a big write up. Uh, there's I've said this before. There's other channels that go far more in depth into a lot of this stuff than what I do. I've I'm trying to bring this all into the D6 universe. Now, whether you want to just run this as a separate Star Trek with the Star Wars role playing game, or if you want to bring Star Trek into Star Wars, which I would love to see, however you want to do it, that is really all up to you. I'm not going to say you have to do this or you have to do that. Nobody has to do anything. I'm just bringing it into the D6 universe. Now, this is all with the help of D6 Holocron. They're the ones that have come up with the stats. I've said this before. And if you really look at how I do the D6 G.I. Joe, uh, there's parts in there that I just kind of throw out. Um, I am a little bit more bare bones and basic on my design. There are some ships I want to create in here from the FASA series. And I will try my best to kind of copy the layout that we have here from D6 Holocron. They presented a lot better than I ever had in any of my scribbles and all that in creating the ships. There was a website I had used to help kind of throw stuff in here. So I have some ships brought over from doing that before I ever found out that D6 Holocron had actually gone through and done it as well. I would rather see a better flushed out version than the scribblings that I have, so I'm using theirs. And, for whoever had created all this, just know you did a better job than I did, so I'm grabbing your stuff. Now, there are things that I've thrown in here, and if you're used to this, you'll know where I throw it in because really it's just bringing, like, instead of using the warp drive, I'll use the hyperdrive, and I'm a little bit more basic on that. Uh, and we'll see that here. All right, so Decora is the name of the type craft that we have. Um, it is a cruiser at capital scale. It is about 392 meters long, has a ship mass of 2,270,000 metric tons. It is a size 7 starship. It does have a autopilot on it, very similar to all the other Star Trek style ships, and it is at E3D, so better than your standard. Has a crew of 450. A skeleton crew of 45 can operate the vessel at a plus 10 bonus to all your skill difficulties. We can carry about 300 passengers, whether they're troops or what have you, that is available there. Cargo capacity is 400,000 metric tons. As it was stated, this is also a cargo vessel. So this kind of seems you would almost be able to use the Ferengi very much as the Trade Federation in Star Wars. We have 2 years worth of consumables on board the ship. The warp speed is a 6, goes up to an 8.2 and a 9.1 for 12 hours. So that really puts it on par with the Galaxy class. So with that being said, I have it with a 8x backup hyperdrive in a 1x primary hyperdrive. Uh, that's, saying again, the reason why I did the Constitution, the NX class, and the Galaxy class is anything for those eras are going to be based off of what they're like. Do you want a ship to be a little bit more powerful, a little bit more threatening? Then we go a little higher. If you want to be a little less threatening, then we go a little bit below that. But that's our bench point to say, you know, higher, lower, same level wherever we are. All right, of course, we're going to have a nav computer. Has a maneuverability of only 8 plus 1, so it's not as maneuverable as our Galaxy class starship. Space is a 7.5. Our hull is a 4D, so I'm trying to think where our Galaxy was offhand. I think it was somewhere in that ballpark, but not 100% certain. Our shields are 2D. Our sensors here, passively, we can scan out to 4 kilometers. We can do an active scan out to 12 kilometers. We can do a search to 15 kilometers and a focus out to 500 meters. Weapons. We have 2 Type 10 plasma weapon arrays. They can do 180 degrees forward. Uh, we have a crew of 1. Fire control is a +2. Has a fire rate of 3, which is where Star Trek and Star Wars really differ. So when we bring this into those stats, Star Wars ships typically fire 1 round. I mean, you can fire multiple rounds, but it's always at a negative. With a fire rate of 3, and I'm going to say this out here and clarify a little this. If you can fire at a fire rate of 3, I'm going to say all 3 shots can be fired at the same skill roll. Okay, uh, whether you want to do all 3 at the same time, which if it's an enemy ship, I'll roll for all 3 at the same time and say yeah it is or isn't. If it's for my group of players, I will let them roll all 3 rolls at the same level. Okay, the targeting computer allows us to say here, here, here. We'll do all 3. Uh, but if you want to do another attack in that same round, now you're losing some of your targeting acquisition ability. Kind of like shooting a rifle. If you shoot one time, typically you can be your first shot's going to be better than the second shot because now you're fighting the recoil and everything else. Same thing here. Okay. Uh, Damage is a 4D plus 1. So not the worst, but not the best. And this is at capital scale. So we also have 2 Type 9 plasma weapon arrays. And again, these are 180 degree forward. So this is a secondary weapon. It has a +2, fire rate of 3, damage of 4D. So you can fire a second time at 4D damage 3 times. And this is all in the same round. So we have 2 concealed Type 7 plasma weapon arrays. And these are a +2 for gunnery, fire rate of 3, damage is 3D. So if you're the only ship out there, you can get hit by 3, 6, 9 times in 1 round off of possibly 3 rolls. Okay. And then we also have photon torpedo launchers. This is where things get even more interesting because, again, these are forward facing, but they're self guided. Has a fire control of 2. There are 30 torpedoes total on the ship, but you can shoot 6 at one time, and it does 4D damage. So that's still a lot of dice coming out your way. Now you have shields that can negate some of this, and some of this will, you know, in the Star Trek universe, that means you're constantly wearing away the shields. Are you going to be able to recover them? Um, and the shields will work a little different than how we typically look at it in Star Wars. So, where the shields kind of slowly get knocked down, you're going to be shooting at the shields first, and then you're going to start working at the hull. Star Wars, typically the shields are here, and the way I do it is kind of like armor. My shield roll, if I say it a little bit better, is we'll say a 5. So that means that anything over 5 is what gets through. Now, I'll leave that up, and I might even do that for this and say my shields are going to be, say, a 5. Anything above and beyond a 5 is going to make it through. Now, if you want to bump up your shields a little bit more, and that's where your shield skill comes in, and you can say, hey, I'm not taking anything off or taking anything from my port side. It's always all coming from my starboard. I can drop the shields on the port and double them up on the starboard, and that's where our shield rolls start coming from. So now instead of maybe having only a 2D, it would be a 4D, but I'm completely um, shield free on the opposite side, so I can move things around. You know, can I up this, down this, whatever else? Okay, that's how I look at it. All right, so we do have our tractor beams. So we do have 4 class Delta tractor beams, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, um, one on the top, and one on the dorsal, one on the ventral. Uh, they have a +2 for fire control and a strength of 40 +2 to try and hold something into place. All right, and we also have 3 class Alpha tractor beams for their shuttle bay, and these are at a 0 fire control, a strength of 3D. Now, one of the things that D6 Holocron has been very good at is breaking down the crew quarters. So we have 200 Spartan quarters, 400 basic, 120 extended, 660 luxury crew quarters, and 10 unusual. So, in other words, if you need some different like air density or something else in there to better suit somebody's living status. Maybe they're from a different atmosphere type or something like that, that they need something there. So that's what that refers to. This ship has 22 decks, has 200 escape pods. Each escape pod can hold up to eight beams. And this was commissioned in roughly the mid 24th century due to Earth reckoning. Transporters, we have 4 transporter pads for 6 personnel each. We do have 4 emergency pads at 24 personnel each, and 4 cargo pads, which have a capacity of 1,600 grams. This is the largest cargo transporter pad that we have seen so far. Complement for shuttlecraft is 20 craft, 40 probes. The description, let's see, I think we've already kind of covered a lot of this, so I'm not going to worry a lot about it. Although, if you do look into it or whatever, it is there. Now, we do have some different shuttles which are not listed here on D6 Holocron, um, and we do get from Deep Space Nine. So we will have to try and add them in at some point. But at the moment, this is what we have. And again, I do intend to create some stuff that maybe they don't have, like the shuttlecraft or whatever else, but it'll take time to get there, and hopefully we will get there. Uh, Doing the Star Trek and Star Wars and all that, I mean, we are in September. This is the month that Star Trek debuted way back when. So it's fun to bring this in and be able to bring out some of these ships uh, and add them into our D6 galaxy. So, with that, thanks for stopping by and visiting. It's always wonderful having you stop by. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and we'll see you